There's a country where human history began, but where today is still the year 2018. A country with one of the hottest places on Earth and one of Africa's highest mountain ranges, just a few hours apart. A country where you can drink the world's best coffee in the exact forest where coffee was discovered 1,200 years ago. The only African nation never colonized, with its own script, its own calendar, its own clock, and an Ark of the Covenant that only one person on Earth is allowed to see. This is Ethiopia. For the next 32 minutes, I'm taking you through the strangest, most magnificent country you've probably never visited. Trust me, by the end of this journey, Ethiopia won't just be a place on a map. It'll be a place living rent-free in your head. So let's start where every good story starts, at the beginning, at the very, very beginning. Picture yourself flying into Addis Ababa just before sunrise. The air outside your window is thin because you're already at 7,700 feet. Higher than Denver, higher than most Colorado ski resorts, and Addis isn't even the highlands yet. Ethiopia is big, about twice the size of Texas. It's landlocked, lost its coastline in 1993 when Eritrea became independent, but it makes up for it with vertical drama. In the north sits Ras Dashen, the country's tallest peak, 14,872 feet, higher than California's Mount Whitney. The whole highland plateau earned Ethiopia the nickname the Roof of Africa. But drive east a few hours and you drop into the Danakil Depression, sitting at negative 410 feet below sea level, lower than Death Valley. Average yearly temperature, 93 degrees Fahrenheit, the hottest place on Earth by annual mean. Cutting through the whole country is the Great Rift Valley, a 4,000-mile geological fracture, longer than New York to London. Now the weather. Addis stays between 60 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit almost year-round. That's not tropical. That's San Diego with better coffee, which is why Ethiopia has an official tourism slogan, "You'll love 13 months of sunshine," because the Ethiopian calendar actually has 13 months. More on that in a minute. But here's what makes this land unforgettable. Ethiopia has one of maybe 5 permanent lava lakes on Earth. It's called Erta Ale. Non-stop volcanic activity since 1906. You can hike right up to the crater rim. Nearby at Dallo Hot Springs, looked like someone spilled highlighter fluid on the moon. Neon yellow, neon green, neon orange. Water so acidic, pH 0, it would eat your shoe. NASA scientists study Dallo to understand Venus. And still today, in that same desert, 3,000-year-old salt caravans move across the pans. Hundreds of camels hauling blocks of salt cut by hand, walking the same route they did for the pharaohs. Ethiopia takes 4 continents worth of scenery and stuffs them into one country. Before we continue our wonderful journey to Ethiopia, let me know what time it is, where you're watching, and which country you're in. Drop it in the comments below. Now sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this journey together. My friend, let's talk about the people. Because Ethiopia's story is really the human story. In 1974, in the Afar region, paleontologists found the remains of a small woman, 3.5 feet tall, living 3.2 million years ago. They named her Lucy, after the Beatles song playing at the Discovery Camp. Ethiopians call her Dinknesh, you are marvelous. Ethiopia isn't just a country, it's hometown to all of us. Over 120 million people live here today across more than 80 ethnic groups speaking more than 80 languages, and they carry a story no other African country can tell. Here's the thing. In the late 1800s, European powers carved up Africa, every single country, except one. In 1896, at a place called Adwa, an Ethiopian army with rifles and spears defeated the modern Italian army. The first time in the modern era, an African nation defeated a European one, and it stuck. Ethiopia was never formally colonized. That's why Ethiopia has its own everything, its own script Ge'ez, 209 characters, its own church from the 4th century, and my favorite, its own calendar. Today in Ethiopia, it's the year 2018. Not a typo, roughly 7 to 8 years behind the Gregorian calendar, because ancient Coptic monks calculated the birth of Jesus differently. 13 months, 12 of 30 days, plus one short month, called Pagumi. New Year is in September. Clocks start at sunrise, not midnight. When it's 7 a.m. for you in New York, it's 1 in the morning Ethiopian time. Now, the women. Ethiopian women are widely considered among the most beautiful in the world. High cheekbones, wide eyes, incredible poise. In 1992, a young woman from a rural village named Duratu Tulu won the 10,000-meter Olympic gold, the first black African woman ever. And the biblical queen of Sheba Ethiopians will tell you she was one of theirs. Here's the phrase you'll hear everywhere. Yenakonjo. It means you are beautiful to me. Because hospitality here isn't polite, it's sacred. Refuse an invitation to coffee, and you've just insulted the whole family. You've made it through the first part of our journey. If you're loving Ethiopia so far, drop a 1 in the comments below. What's coming next are the incredible things you don't want to miss. Stay with me, my friend. Here's what makes Ethiopia different. Modern life and ancient life aren't taking turns. They live side by side. Start with Addis Ababa. New flower in Amharic. 7,726 feet, the third highest capital in the world. Higher than Denver. Bole District has rooftop bars and clubs open till sunrise. Piazza has Italian colonial architecture and the Taitu Hotel from 1898. The beating heart is Mercato, the largest open-air market in Africa. 13,000 stalls, 100,000 people every day. Plastic sandals to gold coffee cherries to spice blends. At night, Ethio jazz takes over that soulful sound invented in the 60s by Mulatu Astatke, the one you've heard in Jim Jarmusch films. Head to Fendika Cultural Center. Or try an Asmari Bet, a music house where a lone musician improvises comedy songs about you. Now the twist. Even as Addis transforms, 78% of Ethiopians still live in villages. Round houses called tukals dot every mountainside. The Dorzi build the strangest 20 to 26 feet tall, woven entirely from bamboo and enset leaves, like giant beehives. You can dismantle one and walk it to a new spot. Rural life follows the harvest. Weekly markets are the social hub. Families walk hours with donkeys to trade grain and gossip. And in every tukul every day, a coffee ceremony unfolds, frankincense burning. 3 rounds, 90 minutes minimum. Modern and ancient don't fight here. They live together. That's rare. But to really understand this country, you need to meet its wildest inhabitants. Now meet Ethiopia's real superstars. They live nowhere else on Earth. The Ethiopian wolf, the only wolf species in all of Africa, and the rarest wild dog on the planet, only about 500 left, all above 10,000 feet in the Bale and Simeon Mountains. Rusty red coat, white muzzle, size of a small German shepherd. They hunt giant mole rats, the biggest rodents in Africa, digging them out of the soil. Packs of 6 to 13, but they hunt alone. The whole pack helps raise the alpha female's pups. The Ethiopian wolf is on the national emblem because it exists nowhere else. Now let me show you something even weirder. The gelada baboon, the only grass-eating primate on Earth. 90% of its diet is grass pulled up by hand while sitting on its rear end. The males have golden manes like lions, and on their chest, a red hourglass-shaped patch that pulses brighter when they're healthy. That's why they call them bleeding heart monkeys. They live at 11,000 to 14,000 feet. They sleep on vertical cliff faces to escape hyenas. They gather in herds of 800 or more, the largest primate gatherings on Earth, and they use around 30 different vocalizations, more than any primate except us. 4 million years ago, geladas roamed all of Africa. Today, only Ethiopia. Living fossils, grazing in the sky, and you can sit 6 feet away from them. They keep pulling up grass like you're a rock. But there's something even more addicting than watching them. Something Ethiopia gave the world. Speaking of things that only exist here, coffee itself was born in Ethiopia. Picture the 9th century. A young goat herder named Kaldi in a highland region called Kaffa. Yes, that's where the word coffee comes from. Kaldi notices his goats acting strange, extra bouncy, dancing on their hind legs. They've been eating red berries from a wild shrub. He tries them himself. Suddenly, he's dancing too. He runs to the local monastery. The monks are horrified, the work of the devil, and throw the berries into the fire. But then, the aroma. They rake the beans out of the flames, crush them, soak them in hot water, and the world's first cup of coffee is brewed. The story might be legend, but the science is real. Every coffee bean on Earth traces back to the wild forests of southwestern Ethiopia. Over 1,000 wild varieties still grow here. 3 legendary regions. Yirgacheffe floral jasmine, almost like fine tea. Sidama full-bodied sweet fruit forward. And Hara wild wine-like with dried fruit notes. But you don't just drink coffee here, you participate in the ceremony, always led by a woman. Green beans roasted over charcoal in front of you. Frankincense burns, fresh grass on the floor. 3 rounds, Abultona and Baraka. The last means blessing. You do not skip round 3. UNESCO added it to World Cultural Heritage in 2015. And what goes with coffee? A meal you eat with your hands. All right, let's eat. The star of every Ethiopian meal is injera, a giant sourdough flatbread made from teff, an ancient super grain, naturally gluten-free. Injera is your plate, your utensil, and part of the meal. Tear off a piece, scoop up whatever's on it, and eat. The king of sauces is Doro Wat. Chicken slow simmered in berbere, a fiery spice blend with 15 ingredients. Add niter kibe, clarified butter, infused with cardamom. Drop in hard-boiled eggs, Ethiopia's national dish, smoky, spicy, buttery. Then, kitfo, hand-minced raw beef, seasoned with mitmita, Ethiopian tartar. Shiro, a chickpea stew, is the go-to during the 200-plus Orthodox fasting days. Tibs is spiced meat seared fast. To drink tea, honey wine served in a round flask called a barelli. The emperors drank tej. You should too. One more tradition, guasha. The most senior person at the table feeds you the first bite with their hand. It's how affection is shown. Refuse it and you've broken something sacred. Now, if you thought food and coffee were peak Ethiopia, wait until you see what people built out of solid rock. Here it is, the thing I've been building up to, where Ethiopia stops being a country and becomes something else entirely. The town is called Lalibela, 8,200 feet up in the Northern Highlands. What makes it one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world is what people did here in the 12th century. They carved 11 churches out of solid volcanic rock, from the top down. That's the part that breaks people's brains. These weren't built, they were excavated. Workers started at ground level and dug down into the bedrock, hollowing out chapels' doorways, cross-shaped windows, secret passageways, all from a single continuous piece of stone. Legend says the whole complex was finished in 25 years, and that at night, while masons slept, angels came down and continued the work. When you see the precision, you understand why people believed that. The one everyone dreams of is Beit Georgis, the Church of St. George, carved 40 feet down into the earth, a perfect cross shape, symmetrical from above, still an active place of worship. Pilgrims in white robes climb down into the rock-light candles and chant in Ge'ez. This isn't Petra. This isn't Machu Picchu. At those places you visit, at Lalibela, people still live the faith the buildings were made for. It's alive. Here's something I'll never forget. In one of the caves next to Beta Golgotha, a hermit monk has lived alone for 40 years. He never leaves. When asked why, he said, "This is my home. God gave it to me." Lalibela isn't a monument. It's a heart still beating in stone. And if Lalibela is Ethiopia's cathedral in stone, the next stop is Ethiopia's Palace of the Sky. Let me take you 400 miles north to a city older than most European cathedrals. Aksum, once the capital of one of the four greatest empires of the ancient world, alongside Rome, Persia, and China. That's the ranking of a Persian scholar named Mani in the 3rd century. At its peak, Aksum controlled trade across the Red Sea to India. It minted gold coins, adopted Christianity in the 4th century, one of the first nations on earth. They built monuments to match, massive granite obelisks carved from single blocks. The tallest standing is 78 feet. The one that fell measured 108 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty without her pedestal. Here's the crazy part. Ethiopians believe the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred box that held the 10 Commandments, is right here, in a small church called Our Lady Mary of Zion. According to tradition, Menelik, the first son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, carried it back from Jerusalem 3,000 years ago. Only one person on earth is allowed to see it, a single monk appointed for life. He never leaves the church grounds. When he dies, another is chosen. Aksum built vertical, but Ethiopia's next great city was built for war. Here's something you don't expect in the East African highlands, a full-scale medieval castle city. Gondar, the African Camelot, founded in 1636 by Emperor Fasilides. He built a fortress compound called Fasilgebi, 6 massive stone castles, plus churches, a library, a bathing pool, all within a walled enclosure. The architecture is unlike anything else in Africa. A mashup of Ethiopian tradition, Portuguese engineering, and Indian design. Round towers, arched windows, battlements, right in the middle of the mountains. UNESCO listed it in 1979. But my favorite thing about Gondar isn't the stones. It's what happens once a year at Fasilides Bath, a giant rectangular pool built for royal celebrations. Every January 19th, during Timkat, priests bless the water. Then thousands of Ethiopians in white robes jump in for a renewal of their baptism. Chanting, splashing, drums pounding. Now let's follow the water to where the Nile begins. Here's a fact you probably didn't know. 85% of the water in Egypt's Nile River comes from Ethiopia. Not Uganda, not Sudan, Ethiopia. Specifically from Lake Tana in the Northern Highlands. Lake Tana is Ethiopia's largest lake, 1,200 square miles, about the size of Rhode Island. 20 islands scattered across it, home to 13th century Orthodox monasteries. Some so sacred women aren't allowed to visit. Others welcome you in, where monks show you frescoes that still glow after 700 years. But the real showstopper is where the water leaves the lake. 20 miles downstream, the Blue Nile plunges over a cliff. The falls are called Tizabeh Smoking Water because the mist rises so high the whole river looks like it's on fire. In peak rainy season, they roar 138 feet high, 1,300 feet wide. You feel the ground vibrate. Rainbows form. It's like standing at the edge of the beginning of something. But follow the road east from here, and you're heading somewhere very different. Somewhere hot. Trust me, this is the closest you'll ever get to walking on another planet. The Danakil Depression sits 410 feet below sea level, lower than Death Valley, where 3 tectonic plates meet, causing the ground to constantly split buckle and boil. Average yearly temperature, 93 degrees Fahrenheit. The hottest year-round place on Earth. But the reward is otherworldly. Deep inside Danakil lies Erta Ale, one of maybe 5 permanent lava lakes on Earth. You hike overnight across black basalt fields and stand at the crater rim 100 feet above bubbling, glowing orange lava, active since 1906. Some nights you can see the glow reflected in the clouds. Nearby at Dalol, the Earth turns psychedelic. Sulfur springs bubble up in neon yellows, greens, and oranges, acid pools with a pH of 0, the closest thing on Earth to what NASA thinks Venus looks like. And through it all, the salt caravans, camel trains of 500 to 1,000 animals hauling white salt blocks to Mekelle Market, a trade route unchanged in 3,000 years. And after all this fire and rock and heat, Ethiopia still has one more thing to show you. You know what I love about Ethiopia? Faith isn't a Sunday thing. It's woven into daily life. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church was established around 330 AD. One of the oldest Christian traditions on earth, older than most European denominations by a millennium. Their Bible has 81 books, 15 more than the Protestant one. It includes the Book of Enoch, lost to most traditions centuries ago. The average Ethiopian Orthodox Christian fasts around 200 days a year, full Lent for 55 days, which is why Ethiopian vegan food is some of the best on earth. Now, Timkat. If you only see one thing in Ethiopia, see this. Every January 19th, a wooden replica of the Ark of the Covenant called a Tabot is paraded through the streets. Priests chant, drums pound, children in white dance ahead. The next morning, the water is blessed. Thousands leap in to renew their baptism. At Facilities Bath in Gondar, at ancient stone cisterns in Lalibela. Nothing else on earth looks like it. And speaking of legendary things, Ethiopia gives the world the next stop is running shoes. Ethiopia doesn't just have runners. Ethiopia redefined long-distance running. Rome, 1960. The Olympic marathon finishes in the darkness of the Appian Way. An unknown Ethiopian named Abebe Bikila, a former palace guard, entered last minute after a teammate got injured, is running the entire race in bare feet. The shoes he was given didn't fit. He crosses the finish line at the Arch of Constantine, right beside the Axum obelisk Mussolini had stolen 25 years earlier. World record. First sub-Saharan African to win Olympic gold. When reporters asked why he ran barefoot, he said, "I wanted the world to know my country." Ethiopia has always won with determination and heroism. 4 years later at Tokyo, 1964, 40 days after emergency appendectomy surgery, he does it again. First person in history to win 2 Olympic marathons. After Bikila came Haile Gebrselassie, 27 world records. Kenenisa Bekele, 3 Olympic golds. Tirunesh Dibaba, multiple titles. Almost all from one small village called Bakoji. Kids there run 6 miles to school every morning at 8,000 feet. The camps are open. You can train alongside future Olympians right now. But there's one place in Ethiopia that lives in a time all its own. Imagine getting on a small plane in Addis. 2 hours later, you step out into a place where the calendar doesn't matter. The year is not 2018, not 2026. The year is just now. Welcome to the Omo Valley, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, human occupation dating back 2.5 million years, home to 8 distinct tribes, Mercy Hamer, Karo Dasanesh, Bodi Abore Bume, and Konso. Start with the Mercy. The women wear ceramic lip plates in their lower lip, sometimes 6 inches across. It's not decoration, it's identity, it's beauty. The men paint themselves head to toe in white clay and plant pigments patterns so bold they look art-directed. Then, the Hamer. Once a year, a teenage boy has to run completely nude across the backs of 4 to 7 bulls lined up shoulder to shoulder. 4 times back and forth without falling. If he does it, he becomes a Maza, a man. He can now marry. Before that, jumping the women who love him, sisters, cousins, aunts, beg the men in his family to whip their bare backs, willingly, as a symbol of unbreakable love. The scars they carry become lifelong testimony. And the Karo, Ethiopia's living painters. Using white lime, red ochre, and charcoal, they turn their own bodies into moving masterpieces. Every pattern means something. Weddings, coming of age, grief, victory. This isn't backwards. This is another way of being human. The way our ancestors, all of us, once lived. If you can hold that thought with respect, the Omo Valley will change you. Before we wrap up, here's the practical stuff you need to know if Ethiopia just made your bucket list. Best time to visit dry season, October through March. Cool, clear, ideal for trekking. But time your trip around the festivals. January 19th is Timkat Best in Gondar or Lalibela. September 27th is Meskel the Bonfire Festival, unforgettable, in Addis. September 11th is Enkutatsh, Ethiopian New Year. January 7th is Gena, Ethiopian Christmas. Now, money. Backpackers can enjoy Ethiopia for $30 to $60 a day. Mid-range $80 to $150. Luxury lodges $250 to $400 a night. Direct flights from JFK, New York on Ethiopian Airlines run $900 to $1,400 around 14 hours. Lalibela's entrance is $50 but covers all 11 churches for 5 days. A Danakil expedition is around $500 for 4 days. Visa. Apply online at evisa.gov.et. A 30-day tourist visa is $52. A 90-day is $82. Entry only through Bole Airport in Addis. Rules and safety. Ethiopia is cash-based outside Addis. Carry US dollars change to birr in the city. Do not photograph anyone in the Omo Valley without asking. Expect to pay 5 to 10 birr per photo. Malaria in lowland areas, take preventive medication. And whatever you do, never refuse an invitation to coffee. 3 rounds every time. That's Ethiopia. Now let me leave you with one last thing. Ethiopia, a country where history began, where the calendar still says 2018, where coffee was born, where sky-high monasteries and lava lakes and 800-strong monkey herds all live within the same borders, where women still wear white and men still herd goats and children still braid marigolds into their hair on New Year. If you ever set foot here, you'll leave with something you can't quite name, because Ethiopia isn't just a country. It's what the world looked like before the world forgot how to look. If Ethiopia just made your bucket list drop salam, that's hello in Amharic in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next country we visit together. Where should we go next? Morocco, Bhutan, Peru, Namibia? Drop your guess below and share this with the friend you want to travel to Ethiopia with. Until next time, my friend Denahun. That means stay well. Denahun from Ethiopia.